Hello and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to answer one of my most common questions I get, which is what is my filming setup? If you're new here, my name is Fear and I do a lot of content about cosplays, anime, outfits, fashion in general, and whatever else I feel like doing at the time, gaming too. So if you're interested in that, please feel free to subscribe or save the video if this information is useful to you. People always ask me about my recording setup, whether it be my lighting or my camera, etc. And I've always hesitated to make a full video showing all of my equipment, not because I'm gatekeeping. I don't believe in gatekeeping, I think it's stupid, but because it is honestly quite inaccessible and it's not something I can recommend for others because I'll be honest, a lot of the equipment I'm going to show you is very expensive and something that you should not invest all your money in right away, especially if you don't know how to use it yet. First things first is my camera. So I've upgraded recently, very recently, 2 months ago, from my Canon 6D Mark II. It's the one I'm using to record this video right now. But I've upgraded to a Sony Alpha A7C II, and this one is a mirrorless lens. As much as I love my Canon, which I'm still using now to record this, I've used it for about 3 years, which is not that long, but I decided I need to make the jump to Sony for the following reasons. The Sony Alpha series is a mirrorless camera, which makes it a lot lighter, so it's great for traveling, or if you're like me and have really weak tripods, this is a lot better. I originally got this for my China trip so that I could take it on the go, but we never even really ended up using it at all. I find that when you're going on a trip, you don't even want to make any content, typically. And when we did, it was just on our phones because it is a lot lighter, but this lens especially, which I'll talk about in a second, does add some weight. It's too much for me to carry around if I'm going around all day. Maybe some stronger people would be okay with it, but I just didn't want to do that. The autofocus on this lens is also significantly faster than on my Canon. And that is really important if you're doing self-shooting. Is, for example, if I was doing a shot where I want to start off frame and then I came into the shot, this one would probably go out of focus for a moment, or it'd be hard to get the right shot where I'm in focus the whole time. Whereas this one picks up my focus, picks me up as the subject right away. It's almost like it is instant. You don't even notice any kind of like adjusting. So this is really awesome for that. That's not a problem if you have somebody helping to shoot you, but if you're on your own like me, then definitely makes a big difference. Also, if you're moving around a lot in your image and you need something to focus from like the foreground to the background, for example, my hand in this one, this is my Canon. I'll see how long it takes for it to focus back onto my face when I move away. Whereas with the Sony, and I'll show you as well so you can see it side by side, the difference of how fast it is to focus. The Canon 6D Mark II also shoots up to 1080p, which is totally fine, especially for cell phones these days. On a tiny little screen, you're not going to notice the difference. However, with cell phones now reaching up to 4K, I thought it was time for an upgrade. You can see a lot more details. Maybe that's not always a good thing though. I can see a lot more of my pores now, but I think it is great to be able to have that freedom to zoom in onto my face if I need to without ruining the quality. The Sony Alpha A7C can also shoot up to 120 frames per second, which is amazing for like a super slow-mo. So for context, your phone I think can shoot up to 240p, which is insanely slow. Don't need it that much. And then the Canon 6D Mark II can shoot up to 60 frames per second. This is definitely an optional. It's like a nice to have, but I love having this because I will slow down my videos all the time. Sometimes on my 6D Mark II, it was a little bit choppy just because 60 frames per second is obviously half the amount of 120. So when I upgraded to my Sony, that like slowing down motion is like just so much smoother because obviously it has more frames in it. Definitely a nice to have, but having the option to choose slow-mo does help a lot with kind of the flow and flexibility with your editing and also the kinds of shots that you can take. And lastly, for video recording, my new Sony camera can also handle low light way better than my Canon. On my Canon, I noticed sometimes I would get those, black horizontal lines if I didn't have everything configured correctly in video I'm talking about. But with this one, I haven't had that problem at all so far. I haven't shot too low light yet, but it generally can handle more than my Canon did. Important features to look out for when choosing a camera for content creation. As a mainly short form video creator who is a team of one, it's super important to look for specific features when choosing a camera that makes your life a lot easier and makes your process a lot faster. Number one is make sure you have a camera with a flip up screen. That is this piece right here on the camera where you can see the image of what you're shooting. Most cameras will have this now, but not all of them. So make sure you get one with a flip-up viewfinder. So what this does is basically makes it able so that you can see yourself in frame Honestly, you're probably going to be too far to see what you look like, but you'll be able to position yourself to make sure you're centered or wherever you need to be. This makes a huge difference when you're self-recording, because instead of having to run back and forth to your camera to see how it looks, to make sure you're in frame, like doing a test recording, this one just makes sure that you already know you're going to be in the right position. Number 2 is having a full frame camera. This one is not essential. If you're limited for space like I am, then this one will help you kind of get more of the background into the shot, as opposed to a crop sensor that is the other kind of camera where it will kind of basically crop in, as you would expect, your image. So you won't be able to get as much of, I guess you won't be taking full advantage of the background that you could possibly have. And this is really important if you don't have a lot of space to put your camera really far away if you want to get a full body shot. Number 3 is having a Wi-Fi enabled camera with an app, a compatible app that lets you connect your camera to your phone. This is, I would say, the most important, at least for me. Like, it changes your life. Most cameras now, at least most large brands, will have an app for this. So I know for Canon it is called Canon Connect, and for Sony it is Creator, what's it called? Creator Connect? Creators app. Essentially what it does is it takes the image that you're receiving through your camera and connects it to your phone, so you can see yourself in your phone. It's like having a portable viewfinder. So also, if you don't have a camera with a flip-up viewfinder, you can instead use this app to kind of position yourself better. I still recommend having both. Most cameras will have it anyways, but the app is definitely the most important part. This is great if you're self-shooting, because not only will you be able to position yourself, but you can also make sure that your lighting looks okay, your positioning looks okay, you look okay. Essentially, you can pose exactly how you want without having to run back and forth to the camera to check the image and making sure that you like how you look in it. The biggest part about having this feature that is useful to me is being able to check the lighting to make sure it is giving the exact look that I want. And the app is, I think, always free. At least for Canon and Sony it's free. I haven't checked the other ones. I'm sure Nikon has something. But if you have a lesser known camera brand, then definitely look up the information beforehand, because this makes the biggest difference in the world. And number 4 is optional as well. It's slow-mo. So as I mentioned before, my Sony camera shoots at 120 frames per second, which is a big upgrade from my Canon. This is definitely not an essential feature, but for me, I feel like it gives me a lot more flexibility with my editing, and it makes just like my videos feel more smooth. A lot of times people say that I move like AI because it's like very smooth. Also, using slow-mo, I feel often makes your videos look more professional and also kind of more dreamy. So if you want to have kind of that experience of like a dramatic, angelic look, slow-mo is great for that, or like more intense. So it gives you a lot more options for what kind of vibe you want to give in your videos. Or if you shoot your clip too short, then you can extend it without looking too crazy or too off sync. Next up is the camera lens. The lens that I live and die by is the Sigma Art f2.8 24 to 70 millimeter lens. And for people who don't know anything about cameras or technical stuff, I know that none of that makes sense. I will explain a little bit. I think the best way to help break down what this lens is if I break down each section of the name and explain it to you. So Sigma is the art. No, it's art. Sigma is art. No, Sigma is the brand. It's a Japanese brand and it's very good. They do a whole bunch of lenses that can be compatible to many different types. I know they have compatible brands for Canon, Sony, Nikon, all those like big companies, and they're generally known for being really good quality. Art is just kind of the line of lenses. 24 to 70 is the range that the lens can go. So you can see here on the lens, it says 24. I don't know if it's focusing. I'll show you in a close-up. It says 24. That's kind of like the furthest away that the lens will get, so you can see more of the background basically. And then 70 is it when it's really zoomed in, and then this creates more of that kind of like bokeh effect where if you want your image to be in focus and behind you to be blurry, which it is right now. So this is kind of like a bokeh effect. And then basically this means it can go anywhere between 24 to 70 millimeters. So you kind of have that range of motion. And this really helps with limited space. So if you want to shoot from far away, but then want to shoot really close and kind of have a transition shot between those two, then this is great because you don't need to move your camera at all. So f2.8 is basically the amount of light that your lens can let in. So the lower the number, the more bright it can be when it's in low light settings. Does that make sense? Let's say you're comparing two lenses, they're exactly the same, but one of them is an f4 and the other one is an f2.8. So the one that is an f2.8, which is the lower number, will be able to let more light into your photo in a darker condition. So let's say you're shooting both those lenses in the same condition, which is at nighttime. Then the f2.8 is able to kind of compensate for that darkness a bit better and kind of give you a better quality in the dark than the f4. Both will still probably be good, but maybe there'll be more grain in the f4. I bought this lens way back when I had my Canon Rebel T6i. I'm pretty sure it has all those features that I mentioned. Not sure about Wi-Fi though. And luckily it was compatible with my Canon 6D Mark II. I've been loving this lens so much that I also bought it, the same one but compatible for Sony, when I switched to my Sony camera. This is a quite expensive lens, I'll be honest, and that's because it is so versatile. You can use it in so many different situations. I've never had to use any other lens. I love it so much. But yes, please only invest in something like this if you really look into it, you know you want it, and you've saved up for it. You are able to buy a camera that comes with a kit lens, and usually these are just fine, especially as a starter. You don't need to invest a whole bunch of money in a lens. Honestly, most of the time, lenses are more expensive than the actual body of the camera. So if you can find a camera that has a kit lens, I would start off with that, especially if you're new. However, one thing to note is the kit lens is often not the best quality lens, obviously, that it can come with. So they do have options to kind of increase your camera quality to another level, but for a really expensive price. This lens, you can either get the official brand, like if you have a Canon, you can look at the Canon site. If you have a Sony, you can look at the Sony site. You can either get that one, or what I would recommend and what I've done is I usually get the Sigma version, which is usually a little bit cheaper. For most of the lenses, I find Sigma to be like almost a perfect dupe. Sometimes even better. I was really impressed with the 24-70 on Canon, that I got it for my Sigma, and I think that I actually like the one on my Sony a lot better. I don't know what the difference is, it's the same lens, but just for different cameras, but I think it's better. From what I had seen, a lot of the research said that the Sony 24-70 and the Sigma 24-70 is pretty much exactly the same in terms of quality. So definitely research the lenses that you're looking into. Some of them may have a big difference, some of them are completely the same. An important note before you buy your lens is make sure the lens that you're looking at is compatible with the camera. Certain models from the same brand are not compatible with all lenses, and lenses from different brands will also not be compatible with each other. If you buy a Canon lens, it will not work on your Sony and it will not work on your Nikon or any other brands like that, unless, I think there are adapters out there. I've never tried it, so I can't really speak on it. But also within the brand, there are lenses that you can buy that as a Canon, but it may not fit onto your Canon. So you have to make sure that the mount, which is usually it's usually called like an E mount or an F mount or an FE mount, I don't know, they all have different names, but you have to make sure that the mount is compatible from your camera to your lens. So definitely look into that, research it to make sure that it will fit on your camera. Otherwise you'll spend like $2,000 on a camera and then just be disappointed because it doesn't fit your camera. And if you're looking up lenses right now and are shocked by the price tag, yes, a lot of the times the lens is more expensive than the body of the camera, which is crazy. But I will also say that the lens often is more important when determining the camera quality, like the definition, than the actual camera itself. Think of your camera as the base character with all of the kind of base stats. And on top of that, you can get the lens, which is like a weapon that improves the character's stats. Does that make sense? And now we have my backdrop, which my dad gave me. Thanks, Dad. My backdrop is basically like a huge reflector that kind of folds up, but I don't have the patience to be folding it up every time, and I'm lucky that I have a space in my apartment that I can dedicate to just keeping it up there, so I just have it leaning on the wall. It's also reversible, so there's a white side, but I kind of got it dirty, so it's not very white anymore. I generally prefer kind of like a darker aesthetic to my videos. I think it looks very cinematic, very dramatic. So I tend to keep it on my black background, but I might try different backgrounds in the future. I also have a backdrop stand, which basically you can clip different backdrop colors to it, or you can also decorate it. I've seen people do flower backdrops on these. This was sent to me by a fan on my wish list. Thank you, Slayer. I wanted this so that I could put curtains on it or different kind of fabrics to get different textures. If you want that kind of floor to ceiling background, you can use paper rolls to kind of have that seamless look where it goes from your background into the floor and there's like no difference in color. I've never done this yet, but I do have the materials if I want to. I just haven't found the right opportunity or right character that I thought would suit this look. Right now it's just a bed sheet that my mom got me for Christmas. And lights. This is the one I get questions about all the time. This is the most questioned, not most questioned, one that people are the most curious about because of the lighting in my videos is very even, very smooth, I guess. So everyone's always asking me about my lighting setup, and this is the one that I am the most hesitant to tell you because I have a lot of expensive equipment. First of all, I'll start off with my ring light, which I'm using right now in this video. Absolutely would recommend this one. It's literally just a big tripod. It's like a huge ring light too. It's like that big. Can you see that? It's not even in frame. That's how big it is. It's big enough that it could evenly light the whole circumference of your face. I know some people have the smaller ones. I would recommend getting this big one if you have a space for it. It also has a range of color temperatures, so you can change it from more of like a warm tone to a cool tone, depending on the lighting or the mood that you want to give. It's also dimmable, so you can lower it if you find it's too intense, or you can brighten it to quite a lot of lumens. However, I did break my cord, my power cord for this, so I'm using a spare one I had, which I don't think is actually compatible. So the light is not as bright as it used to be, and I think it's because of the cord. But if you buy it new, should be fine. And the nice thing is that it also comes with this like phone attachment, so it can, here's like the part where it attaches to the light in the middle of the beauty, in the middle of the ring light. And I think most ring lights will come with something like this, and this just, you can just like slide your phone in, and this is great for if you don't use a professional camera. Sometimes I use this to film my outfit videos, or even to read the lyrics off my phone when I'm recording. The two key lights that I use that give me a really rich color and tone are the Nanlite Pavo tubes. These were sent to me by Nanlite, and I'm so lucky because these are the best light tubes I've ever used. This is not even an ad read. They get so extremely bright. You can change between warm and cool tones. There is a whole range of colors. Like there's like, you can go between every single color and cycle through them. And the most important thing is that the colors are so bright and they're so rich. I've tried other light tubes before from kind of off brands, and they just don't give that enough of a punch. Like they're quite dulled down, or they're not bright enough. These ones, if you do want to get kind of light tubes, or like want to invest in bright color tones, definitely look into these. I love them a lot. They work in every lighting. I could shoot with them at high noon and the colored lights will still come through. Whenever I'm shooting with the colored lights on is usually when I get my AI allegations. Everyone always thinks I'm AI because it gives such like a rich tone that it looks like you're in the middle of a video game. Aside from that, there's also many different modes. There is a flash feature where you can cycle through many different types. So there's one for like I think there's like a light bulb, there's fireplace, there's paparazzi, there's like a storm. There's like so many different options for kind of like flash patterns. There's also like a rainbow color, which I don't really use much at all. I've never used it, I think. But it's there if you want it. There's also an app you can use that you can change the colors from your phone, and you can also, I think, program some patterns. I've never tried it before, but let's say you want it to be like one color and then flash at a certain beat. You can program it on that app, which is really cool. Lastly, my biggest light, and probably the most expensive, is my Nanlite Forza 300B2. Looking at my notes. This one was also sent to me from Nanlite, and it's definitely one of like the most professional looking pieces of lighting equipment that I have. So this one is a spotlight that you can use in multiple different ways. I use it for a backlight that kind of highlights my hair and separates me from the background. If I have a black wig on, or if I'm wearing a black outfit, this one kind of pulls me out of my black background. So this one adds lighting around my shoulders and my hair so that so it doesn't look like I'm just floating in the back. Sometimes it still looks like I'm floating, but you know. The other way I use it is as a fill light. So if I use it as a fill light, I'll use it with this. I think this is an octo box, but there's definitely more than 8 sides to it. So I don't know what this is called, but it's essentially a massive soft box that will kind of disperse the lighting. It'll go through this white filter that kind of makes it less harsh on your face. If I were to shine this directly in my face without the softbox, for one, I'd be blind. I wouldn't be blind, but it would be hard on the eyes. And number two, it would be very harsh lighting, whereas adding a softbox kind of makes everything a little bit more smooth and less intense. Additionally, on top of that, I have like this honeycomb grid on it that kind of disperses it even more, and it just kind of gives you that softer appearance while eliminating unflattering shadows on your face. This one comes with a massive box that I have attached to a C-stand, and for this kind of lighting you definitely need to have a C-stand and not just a normal tripod, because this will be very heavy and it will tip over and shatter if you don't have a strong, sturdy, a strong and sturdy stand. The C-stand also allows you to kind of get higher above the subject, and you can kind of tilt it back and forth, kind of like a boom stand as well. You can put a microphone on this kind of stand. Like all my other lighting, this one can also adjust the Kelvin, so it can go from a warm tone to a cool tone, which is really great. And you can also dim this. It is very bright and is very hot. I usually never go higher than 20 or 30%, unless I'm shooting really early in the morning where it's bright everywhere and it needs to compensate for that lighting. And here's what my setup looks like when it's all kind of put together. I use these two key lights to highlight the two sides of my face so that I have an even lighting no matter which direction my head turns. And because they're tubes and don't actually cover a wide surface area of my face, I use my ring light to shoot from below to eliminate smile lines or any kind of unflattering shadows that having these two narrow lights add to my face. And that is it. That's all I got. I know it is a lot, and especially if you're not somebody who knows much about equipment or lighting or film or anything like that, I know it seems like a crazy amount of stuff, and definitely don't feel the need that you need to get all this stuff. A lot of this you can recreate with your own lighting, your own means, or cheaper options. This is just so that you can kind of get an idea of the reasoning for each lighting a piece of equipment that I have and what to look out for if you do want to invest in similar pieces in the future. And I just want to reiterate one more time, you do not need all of this stuff to make good content. Most of my friends I know who have like amazing content, they have way more followers than me, do not use any of the stuff. They use maybe a ring light and their cell phone and they're doing super well. So you definitely don't need this to make content. This is just kind of how I do it because I happen to have a lot of the equipment already, and this is just the style that I like to have for my videos. I know this was a very technical conversation. I tried to make it as clear as possible for people who don't know all of this stuff already, so I hope everything made sense. Feel free to ask me questions in the comments if you need clarification on anything. I'll put the links to everything that I can find. I should be able to find all of it into the bio, so you can take a look at those. And to everyone still here, thank you for watching. Thank you for letting me nerd out for a while on equipment. That's all. Bye!